have a timeout. Decide not to use it. Curry, way downtown. Bang! Bang! Oh, what a shot from Curry!
What's up, everyone? My name is Ethan. This is Courtside TV. If you're new, don't forget to subscribe, and let's get into it. So, I have to talk about the hottest team in the NBA right now, and that is the Sacramento Kings. They have won 7 out of their last 8, and their one loss is a 1-point defeat to the Miami Heat, 105-104. So they're very close to being on an 8-game win streak, which is incredibly impressive, especially given the expectations for the Kings relative to where they are right now. You know, coming into the year, a lot of people had picked them at the bottom of the Western Conference, you know, one of the worst 3 teams. I believe I had them down there, you know, one of the like 3 or 4 worst teams in the Western Conference. The West is so tough, and there's still, you know, plenty of time left. Everything is so bunched up from, like, you know, 3 all the way down to 14. All the teams are within like 2 games of each other. It's ridiculously close right now. But the Kings are firmly in that mix. They're in there with everybody, and especially now that on this win streak, they're absolutely, you know, if not the hottest, one of the hottest teams in the league right now. De'Aaron Fox is playing incredibly well. Rookie Tyrese Haliburton is showing like he was a complete steal at the 12th overall pick, and you know, there's a lot of teams ahead of him that are already regretting passing on him in the draft. So the Kings are playing incredibly well right now, and I kind of just wanted to talk about some of the reasons why that is. So the Kings right now have 6 players scoring in double digits on their team. It's an incredibly balanced scoring attack, it's a pretty unusual thing in the NBA to have this many players, you know, with this point distribution being even as it is, right? There's lots of teams that are pretty top heavy with one star carrying all the load, or teams that just don't have that many guys who are able to consistently get, you know, this many points in a game. But this is all 5 of the starters. So De'Aaron Fox, Harrison Barnes, Buddy Hield, Richaun Holmes, and Marvin Bagley is their starting 5, and these guys are all up there in points. De'Aaron Fox leading the team with 23, which he's putting up pretty much all-star numbers at this point. He's having a great season so far, and he was just, I believe, named Western Conference Player of the Week, or maybe it was Player of the Month, I'm not sure, but he's been playing really well over his last couple. And then obviously Tyrese Haliburton off the bench, who is also averaging around 12. This guy is awesome, man. It's ridiculous watching him because he looks like he's a vet already, and there's not a lot to say about Haliburton that hasn't already been said, because there's been a lot of praise from inner NBA circles around Haliburton. He's been, you know, a huge topic on Twitter over the last couple of weeks, and people on podcasts I hear talk about him often. But I mean, I'm just going to echo all those statements, because watching him, it's almost kind of CP3-ish. I think I heard somebody say that, and I totally agree with that statement, where it just looks like he's making the right decision every single time. If he shoots, you feel like it's going to go in. If he passes, it's right on target. He rarely turns the ball over. He doesn't make mistakes. And this is a kid who's, what is he, 20? Yeah, 20 years old, coming in his rookie season onto a Kings team that has not been known for developing talent very well, and he's just immediately making a huge impact on this team. So Haliburton is absolutely part of the future for the Kings, and him and De'Aaron Fox should be a very nice and exciting backcourt over the next, you know, handful of seasons, considering they're both still so young, and I feel like their skill sets do complement each other well. And the Kings are even having solid play off of their bench. Hassan Whiteside, who I'm not the biggest fan of, but off the bench, it's not a bad option. Glenn Robinson has been playing well. Bielitsa is also having, you know, a pretty solid season. All these guys are chipping in here and there, you know, being able to score, distribute, do all the little things. And the Kings are winning basketball games, and that is definitely something that not a lot of people expected going into the year. And I didn't think they'd be horrible, but being in the playoff mix in the West is certainly an accomplishment for them. I don't know how long this will keep up. They've been up and down at points this year. Right now they're really hot, but it stands to reason they'll probably come back down to earth at some point. But even then, I still do think that they have enough talent, especially with Haliburton playing this well. They probably have enough talent to be a competitive team in the Western Conference. I really feel like these last couple playoff spots in the West are going to come down to the last night of the regular season. You know, there's probably going to be like 5 or 6 teams, and it's going to come down to like one game between who gets like 7, 8, 9, 10. I really think it'll be that close. So almost kind of just throw a dart at the wall at this point to decide whether or not any given team is going to make the playoffs. But the Kings, I think, to this point have proven that they probably should be in that conversation. And then all of this begs the question, where do they go with the roster from here? Because this was a team that was expected to be sellers at the deadline. They have a couple guys who have been in trade rumors all season and last offseason and stuff. And it's, it stands to reason that they still might consider moving some of these guys, specifically Buddy Hield, who there have been tension between him and the front office and the coaching and all that stuff. And there's been rumors that he wants out of Sacramento. And especially with the emergence of Haliburton here, it seems like they'd maybe want to clear the way for him to move into the starting lineup and start getting more of those reps so he can, build that chemistry with De'Aaron Fox a little bit more. Buddy Hield is a little bit of an older player than what their young core is like, so maybe, they kind of want to move him anyway. If you can get something back for him, I think they should still consider moving Buddy Hield, even if they are still a winning team around the deadline. I think it just makes sense for them to try to get something back for him. Like I said, especially with Haliburton playing so well, I think they need to really clear the way to make that the backcourt of the future. They have a couple other guys on this roster, too, who we've seen in trade rumors. Harrison Barnes has a big contract. It's kind of hard to trade at this point, but you could probably get something back for him, as well as Richaun Holmes, who is about to hit free agency. He has also had an awesome season so far, but maybe if they decide they don't want to pay him, they can try to get something back for him at the deadline, as well as Nemanja Bjelica, who is a veteran guy. He's been around a long time. He was a potential buyout target. He's kind of cooled off a little bit this year, so I do feel like he could potentially still be a guy out there. I don't necessarily think that the Kings playing super well right now really changes a lot of their plans at the deadline. I do feel like they still kind of are in sort of a rebuild mode, especially with their young backcourt here. Feels like they should be more playing towards the future than trying to do anything crazy right now. But, with the team as good as it is, you might see like Harrison Barnes not have his name put into the rumor mill as much. There might not be buyouts for some of these guys. Whiteside was always thought of as like a cheap center option at the deadline for a team that needs one, and he still could be, but maybe the Kings are a little bit more inclined to hold on to their guys. But I still wouldn't rule out a Buddy Hield trade as well, because that one I still feel like is almost more likely now, even that the team is playing well, just because of the whole let's get Buddy Hield out of here, clear the room for Haliburton and De'Aaron Fox to be the backcourt of the future here for the Kings. But it's almost a complete turnaround from early on in this year, where the Kings were just pretty bad. They had lost, like 9 of 10 or 8 of 9 or something like that. They were losing a lot of games early on this season. They had a really bad record near the bottom of the conference, and in their last 8, they've completely turned it around. And so they're fun to watch now. De'Aaron Fox has always been a guy who's really electrifying on the court, and pairing him with Haliburton and some of the other guys that are playing well on this team has really given the Kings a jolt of life, which is nice, because they have not been good for a very long time. And I was making videos ripping on the Kings, for a couple weeks ago, and the whole Marvin Bagley thing after a pretty bad game from them a couple of weeks ago. It just, the NBA, things change very quickly and teams go through ups and downs, and so I wouldn't necessarily overreact and say the Kings are going to be a playoff team for sure, but I think they have put their name in that conversation. But like I said, I don't necessarily think it changes much of their long-term plans, or at least it probably shouldn't. I still think they, relatively should say, hey, we should try to be as good as we can this year, but if we can get value back for some of our pieces, I think that's probably the smartest thing for them to do. But yeah, the Kings are fun. They're playing good basketball right now, and if I was a fan of them, I'd be really, really excited for this young backcourt, because it looks like, Fox and Haliburton, that pairing is going to be really, really good for many years to come. Getting this guy at 12th in the draft is just a total steal, man. Anyway, I think that's about all I got for you guys on the Sacramento Kings. Like I said at the top of the video, if you're new, don't forget to subscribe, leave a like, ring the bell if you want to, leave a comment letting me know what you guys think about the Kings. Is this real? Is it a mirage? Are they going to do something at the deadline still? Who knows? Love to hear your thoughts on that. But yeah, with all that said, I will see you guys in the next one.